Hi there. This is EQFIT Leadership Insights, Straight Talk with Steve. This is a new series, a new playlist specifically for leaders. Now, what do I mean by leaders? You might be an emerging leader. You might be a seasoned leader. You may own a company. You may be an entrepreneur. What I want to focus on in this series is how do we lead ourselves? How do we lead other people to get the outcomes that we want? Now, this series is unscripted. I'm not working off any kind of bullet points or script because I think it's important just to have a conversation. And that's what this is all about. How do I have a conversation around the work that I do, but how can I help you that really would make a difference? And I'm pulling from 40 plus years of experience doing this. I've been in sales, I've been in leadership, I've been in coaching, consulting for decades. And so I want to share some of those insights. What can you expect out of this series? First, I come from a place of mindset first. How can we create a leadership mindset that is successful? And I have a very specific way of doing that. When we think about creating the right mindset, it has several elements to it. One is our habits. Habits, 40 to 90% of our daily decisions and actions are done habitually, basically without any thought or consideration. That's a lot, even if it's on the low end of that. So the habits that we have better be productive habits, not counterproductive habits. I actually have an assessment that I can measure both productive and counterproductive habits. And using that with leaders, what I'm finding is when we identify those counterproductive habits, we can transform those to more productive habits, and they get a huge ability to move the needle on their leadership. It's amazing how much our patterns, our habits either help us and accelerate our success or they hold us back. But that's one part of a leadership mindset. The next part is emotional intelligence, which is 2 to 4 times more predictive of success than IQ. You know, we used to think IQ, if you're really smart, then you're going to do well in life and all of that. But you know what? It's almost counterintuitive, because when you think about what is leadership, it's not us doing things as leaders. It's us getting things done through other people, which is critical. That is so important to how we are either going to have success or not have success when we are leaders. So emotional intelligence is that ability to navigate the emotional environment in ourselves and in other people to get the best out of ourselves and out of other people. Now, you may not think that's a big deal, but let me share some data with you. 70% or more of buying decisions are made through emotional drivers. 70% or more of engagement, employee engagement, is specifically related to how well the leader shows up, how successful the leader practices that emotional intelligence. That's a big deal. And right now, with the recent Gallup State of the Global Workplace study and the data that's in there is frightening. We are seeing in the United States, we have seen a drop again of employee engagement down to 31%. Globally, it's in the 20% bracket, which is horrible. That's 2 out of 10 people that are actually engaged. What is engagement? It's the emotional commitment an employee has to doing the job and supporting the team and supporting customers. It's going the extra mile. It's that person that gives you more than what's expected. Well, if that's only 2 out of 10 or even 3 out of 10, that's not a good place. And you know what's even more frightening? Remember when I said that 70% or more of employee engagement is related to how the leader shows up? Well, leadership engagement levels have dropped 3% in the United States down to 27%. That's less than 3 in 10 leaders that are engaged in their work. This is frightening stuff, because engagement is where some very important things happen. It's where the ability to connect with others, to build trust, to form high functioning teams, collaboration, innovation, creativity, all of those things are directly related to how much employee engagement you have. Does the team come together and pull together or not? Well, guess whose job it is to make sure that happens? It's ours as leaders and as owners of companies. My 2-word purpose is equip people. Equip people to prosper as leaders, equip people to prosper as salespeople, equip people to prosper as a team member. That's my passion. I love watching that transformational process. Okay, so we've talked about creating the mindset, what I call the EQFIT mindset. That's my company, EQFIT. You can see it over here. What's the next stage? We talked about habit transformation. We talked about emotional intelligence. We're not going to leave rational intelligence out of this. IQ, and what I want to talk more about is higher level thinking skills. So strategic thinking, numerical reasoning, logical reasoning, abstract thinking, adaptive thinking. I mean, you could go on and on and on with our higher level cognitive skills. Here's something very interesting, though. Our brains, when we experience something, we process it emotionally first before it ever gets to our prefrontal cortex and the ability to think at those higher levels. So what happens if you or your people are stuck in emotional cycles that are not allowing you or your people to access those higher thinking skills? You don't get progress. You don't get performance. People get distracted. By the way, it is so much easier to get distracted when you are stuck in these non-productive emotional cycles. So neurologically, our brains process emotions first. And that's where people sometimes can get into that survival mode: fight, flight, freeze. Those are not great responses in the workplace. And so we need to do the best we can to reduce the emotional load, which it reduces stress, create a better emotional environment, first for ourselves and then with our people, so that we can move forward more productively. And that is why we start to put together this mindset: habit transformation, emotional intelligence, rational thinking skills. And then the fourth piece of that mindset is actual skill development or specific skill development. Why is that important? Well, you need skills. Can you use the technology that's available to you? Can you, and by the way, everything I do incorporates the advances of technology as I do my consulting and coaching with leaders, with teams, with salespeople, because we cannot leave technology out. There has to be a parallel growth in both our abilities here, internal abilities, and our human skills with other people, as well as our technical and technology skills. So technology is important, but maybe you're an engineer, maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're a salesperson. There are specific skills that have to be developed. Why is that important to mindset? Because you trust yourself more, you have more confidence, you have more agility, you have more resilience. When you put those 4 things together, to create an effective mindset, you are literally preparing for whatever comes your way. We cannot control the circumstances in our lives. We can control how we respond to them. There are many, many things out of our control. You know the 4 things that you totally control? How you spend your time, your focus, your energy, and your effort. Now, that could be in developing yourself, growing your skills. It can be in your work. It could be at home. It can be in all kinds of places. Those are the 4 critical internal resources that all of us actually control. Now, I know you may say to me, wait a minute, I got a boss. My CEO says, you got to have this done by tomorrow. You still have a choice, right? You could still say no. You control those 4 things. If we can start to build a mindset where we focus on the things we can control, we trust ourselves more, we build more confidence, we know that we can create a competitive advantage for ourselves and for our teams by making these things work for us instead of against us. That's important. So in this playlist, this series I'm doing on Leadership Insights, there are several things we're going to talk about. And it's not going to be scripted. It may be whatever hits me in the moment when I do these. But here's what I want to say. We're going to deal with things like performance management, conflict resolution. We're going to deal with all of the leadership challenges that we have. I've worked with companies up to the size of 22,000 employees and as small as 1 employee. And what I am finding is that the challenges are very, very similar. Now, the magnitude and the impact may be different, but you know what? We are each one of one. There is only one of you, and that's it. There's never been anybody like you before, and there will never be anybody like you in the future. So we take our unique self, our gifts, our talents, our development, our experience, our knowledge, our academic schooling. We combine all of that into who we are uniquely. And you know what happens? If as a leader, you allow your authentic self to show up, you're going to have the best results. Now, maybe your authentic self isn't that great right now when it comes to leadership. Leadership skills can easily be raised. They can easily be developed, but you have to have a framework to do it. There is so much noise out there in the world today. Read this book. Oh, go to this guy's webinar. Go to this person's seminar. Oh, do this, do that. Let me share something with you that I know for a fact. And I'm sorry, I'm coming across really strongly. Why do I do that? I care about your success, and I want you to have the greatest success possible. So when it comes down to the way that I'm approaching this, I know there's a better path for all of us. We have to get clarity around what that is, which is why I use assessments, multidimensional assessments, not just one this or one that. But that's where we start to get a data-driven approach to where we are as leaders so we can move forward. And I'm creating this month, I'm creating 2 new masterminds, 12 weeks of transformation, one for leaders, one for salespeople. I'm not going to go into that now. If you want more about that, EQFIT.org is my website, and you can check that out. There's links in this video that you can go to and see more about all of those things. But bottom line here, as a leader, we have people's lives and their livelihoods in our hands. We have an obligation to lead at our best level, our highest level, our most effective level of leadership. And frankly, when we do that, it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more enjoyable. Leadership is not about authority. It's about influence. And that's where I'm going to leave this one today, just so that we can pick this up next time and start to dive deeper into just some of these things I've talked about. Is there a better path forward? Always. We can all improve, and that includes me. But we can't change what we can't see. And that's why it's so important to have self-awareness, to get a data-driven approach to increasing your leadership skills. That's assessments and coaching and all of that. Whatever you do, know that you can be a great leader. That's in all of us. The key is, how do we unlock it? How do we bring it out of each of us? Look forward to the next time that we're together on our Leadership Insights. Have a great day.